Hello everyone. In this video we're going to learn about functions that take other functions as parameters. This is not an easy topic, so I want your full attention. I'll create a function named math operations. Now this function accepts a function as parameters. So I'll need a function name. So I'll say func name. This is basically a variable. So I'll say func name is a func that accepts. Now this is the parameter of the inner function. This is our inner function and the parameters are over here. So this function, I want this function to accept two integer values, num1 and num2. When two or more variables are of the same type, I can simply do this. Write variable 1 comma variable 2 comma variable 3 if there is any, then the type with the space. So every variable will be assigned this type. So num1 is also int, num2 is also int. Now I want this function, the inner function, to return an integer as well. So I'll mention this over here. After the parenthesis ends, I'll say int. So this means that our func name function also returns an integer. Now I also want our math operations function to also return an integer. So I'll say outside this parenthesis, I'll say that math operation function also returns an integer. Now we have set up our function. It's time to use it. So I'll call the func name. This is our function now. So I'm calling this and I need two arguments, num1 and num2, in order to successfully call it. So I'll say num1 is 20 and num2 is 10. Now this returns an integer, so I have to store it somewhere. I'll say result is equal to. Now this will automatically be an integer because it knows that func name is going to return an int. Now we want our math operations to also return an integer. So this will be our last line, return result. So whatever result we get after executing func name, that is our inner function, will be stored inside result, and that result will be returned. So we get the math operations return value as this result value. So now it's time to call math operations, but we don't have the necessary parameters right now because we have not created a function. Now this, you can imagine this as a type of function. This will not accept any function, unless it is of the type accepting two variables, accepting two integer values as parameters and returning an integer value. If any of the condition fails, it will not accept that function inside parameters. What am I speaking about? Now if I say I create a func add, and if I simply say like fmt.print or anything inside it doesn't matter. If I put add inside over here, this will not work because it expects a function that has these properties. So I have to give it to them. I'll say num1, num2 is of type int and it returns an int. So this fulfills everything that is required to run our function. Now I'll say simply return num1 plus num2. So this will return the addition of num1 and num2. Now we can use this inside our function. Now we don't have to invoke it because what is invoking is I'm not using the opening and closing parenthesis. We simply have to pass this function because invoking will be done inside. Once it goes inside the math operations, our func name, instead of func name or the variable func name, will hold the add function as we are passing add. So add will go inside here. Now add will be called with the parameters 20 and 10. Now what does add do? It returns num1 plus num2. So num1 will be 20, num2 will be 10. So we get the result 30. 30 will be given as output of add. So 30 will be returned. So the caller function, which is this, will get the output 30 from this function. So inside result we'll have 30, and the same result is returned by this function. So this function also returns an int which will store simply as result, which means that result should be 30. But why do we use this? Suppose we need another function to do the same thing but just to subtract, and it uses the same principles. So there is a principle in code that we should not repeat ourselves. This will help to make our job way easier. Now I simply have to do num1 minus num2, and every function can be handled with using main operations, our main function. This will be our inner function. Now I'll simply say result2, or I don't even have to store it inside a variable. Whenever a function has a return value, I can simply directly use the fmt.println and call the function math operations. Inside that I'll say subtract. Now if I save this, I'll get the first value. I have to print out result, or else it will give me an error. So I'll just print the result out. So the first output will be the addition and the second output will be the subtraction. Now if I save this and run this, I should get 30 and 10. This is our expected output. This is how we use function in parameters. I hope you have understood this. This will be all for this video. Thank you for watching.